Sundown towns. Let's talk about it. Coweta County Georgia is 82nd on the list. By 1889, Coweta County was sick with Jim Crow and fits the criteria of a Jim Crow sundown town. We're going to learn about 8 racially motivated unalivings in this 3-part series. And one of these was attended by over 2,000 people, and they took souvenirs. Let's learn history. Our ancestors were enslaved in this county. We were almost half of the population here. We were openly sold and worked on their cotton fields, while the white people built generational wealth from our free labor. During enslavement, though, our ancestors found faith in the enslaver's God. In 1842, Noonan Chapel Episcopal Church was founded, and we had school in the church. In the 1850s, Mount Vernon First Baptist Church was established. Remember that church for part 3 of this series. 1859, the newspaper tells us one of our churches in Noonan was burned down. By emancipation, we had our first official marriage here. But in the local newspaper, the Noonan Herald, in 1865, they were already setting us up and setting themselves with a superiority mindset. Child, the way they talked about us was downright gross. Before we even had a chance, our place was being made here in Coweta County. 1869, Fred G. felt justified in unaliving a black man after an argument about money. According to the paper, the case was discharged. They fully felt justified to do whatever they saw fit to our ancestors in this brewing Jim Crow sundown town. 1875, we had a Presbyterian church with a white pastor because the local black pastors were speaking too much truth, according to the newspaper. 1876, we started leaving this county, but those that stayed by 1881, baby, some of our ancestors were wealthy and had a summer resort and a school in Chalk Level in Noonan. But this was a brewing Jim Crow sundown town waiting to show its ugly head. In 1881, in Senoia, we got too uppity, and as a result, according to the newspaper, Hansler assaulted this black man so bad, it's unlikely that he survived. In 1887, we had neighborhoods like Negro Town, according to the newspaper. 1889, our ancestors established the McClellan Academy in Newton. If you've learned anything and you've made it this far, please leave me a comment and engage. I'd really appreciate it. Come back for part 2 when we learn just how this place earned the title of a Jim Crow sundown town. Part 2, sundown town number 82, Coweta County, Georgia. We left off learning about our enslaved ancestors, our first neighborhoods, our wealthy summer spot, and the unalivings that turned this place into a brewing Jim Crow sundown town. What happened to Sam Hose in 1899? Read this. Did you catch the reason why? Did you question it? Our ancestors from Chicago did, like Ida B. Wells. Let's continue learning. Sure enough, they pooled their money together and sent a private investigator to find out what really happened. Lo and behold, are you surprised that they lied? They wanted to make an example out of him. The newspaper literally says we were getting too uppity and we, quote, needed to know our place. Did you also see that the railroad sold special tickets to anyone wanting to go see this lynching? Not only did this mob unalive Sam Hose, the same mob unalived Elijah Strickland and at least 2 other people just for talking about what happened to Sam Hose, and would throw people in jail for even talking about it. We didn't learn our place. The same way you felt after learning about what happened to Sam Hose, our ancestors felt the same way, and they were ready for war. The white population said, okay, and they were attempting to lynch another man to really light the fire when the governor stepped in and put a stop to all this madness. By the 1900s, they were trying to get us to leave and move to Mississippi, but nope. By 1903, a group of farmers got together at our Mount Zion Methodist Church to figure out how they can make life better for all of our ancestors living in the rural part of the county. Families were our strength here, and in 1905, newspaper tells us that our population outnumbered the white population, and so did our marriages. But they had to do something to control us and use our free labor. So chain gang was in full swing in Coweta County by 1906. 1909, Snow was a plantation owner and went to talk to his labor about his no-call, no-show. But he ended up unaliving him. But I have questions for the reason given. In 1911, our Roscoe's Funeral Home opened, and by 1921, whoever Bagley was, he was loud and proud about his connection to the Klan. So much so, he let the paper know that the Klan was everywhere in Noonan, from the mayor, the lawyers, the doctors. Matter of fact, he said there's over 400 members in Noonan alone. If you've learned anything and you've made it this far, leave me a comment and let me know. I'd appreciate it. Come back for part 3 when we learn about our thriving communities, and we'll learn about the hardcore segregationists voted into office in Coweta County, Georgia. Part 3, Sundown Town number 82, Coweta County, Georgia. In parts 1 and 2, we learned about our first neighborhoods, our wealthy vacation spot, and the lynching where people literally took souvenirs. That lynching gave this place the title of a Jim Crow sundown town. Let's continue learning. By the 1950s, education had been a core staple for our ancestors since the turn of the century. With Jim Crow loud and proud, we had separate and unequal education. But like we do, we made it work. And we had schools all over Coweta County, from schools in churches that went up to the 12th grade with 3 teachers to 1-room, 1-teacher schools with 20 students. We even had thriving businesses like Dixie Shoe Shop on Jackson Street. But as a Jim Crow sundown town, we are never too safe. And in 1950, involuntary solitude was a thing. You'd better not be caught in the wrong part of the county after the sun went down. In 1950, Mr. Jack Walker was unalived in a neighboring county, but the white men that did it came from Coweta County, and the case took place in Coweta County. During this time, our ancestors were not safe. Just like Mr. Tom Dunlap was run over for refusing to go back to servitude. The white population of this place voted for someone who didn't believe in the civil rights movement and was headstrong against integration. In the 1960s, our ancestors were being kidnapped. Even one of the King brothers, yes, Dr. Martin Luther King's brother, was a pastor at Mount Vernon Baptist Church in Noonan. It didn't matter that the civil rights and integration were sweeping the nation. The white population in Noonan would rather close the public pool than to integrate. So I'm closing out the video, and then I find this in 2018. Look at where they are. If you've made it this far, please leave me a comment and engage. I'd really appreciate it. Can anyone share a first-hand account about this place, past or present? Share this video. Tag them in the comments. Let's learn.